Hi, this is George Alger with another segment of Our Ventura TV. And today we're going to be speaking about tips on operating and maintaining a fireplace. And today's expert is David Laverdiere with Boston Brick and Stone. Welcome, Dave.
Thank you for having me.
Dave, let's just start out with a little bit of info so we can kind of orient the viewers to you and your company. What is Boston Brick and Stone?
We're basically a masonry company that specializes in chimneys.
Okay, good. And why Boston?
Well, it was surveyed when we were looking for a name. We asked our existing customers what word would best communicate high-quality brickwork, and everybody picked Boston. I've never even been there.
Well, you know what, I have. I live there, and I can relate. Boston has beautiful, extraordinary masonry. So to me, it made sense.
Yeah, it's been working very well.
Cool. All right, so let's get right into this. What would you say is the #1 tip regarding maintaining one's chimney or operating a chimney?
Number one tip,
fireplace, I should say.
well, the fireplace and chimney system would be to have it inspected regularly and cleaned regularly so that you can avoid chimney fires. A chimney fire will occur if you do not clean your chimney, and the creosote would build up to a 1/4 inch or more on the inside. It can actually catch fire.
Now, what is a creosote?
Creosote is the product of burning wood, and it's a sort of a fuzzy looking black, high in carbon and tar and soot. You've heard of soot. The chimney cleaners have soot all over them. Well, that builds up inside the chimney, and it's flammable. And if it builds up to such a degree that it's thick enough, it'll actually catch on fire. And because it's the way the chimney is designed, the flames will shoot up the top, and it'll be fed by air coming in through the fireplace. It sounds like a train going through your house, and it can cause a lot of damage and catch your house on fire. So it's a very good idea to have it inspected every year, and if it needs to be cleaned, then have it cleaned too. It depends on how much you use it.
Okay, good. So then, in terms of any of our viewers who realize, oh my God, I haven't had my chimney inspected for years, all right, what could you offer them as far as counsel on how they can get that done?
Well, there's a National Fire Protection Agency, the NFPA, and they recommend that you have your chimney inspected at least once a year, and every time it changes hands. So if you sell your house or you're buying a house, you should definitely have the chimney inspected by a real professional, a chimney inspector, just to save you money in the long run and to make sure there's nothing wrong with it that would be dangerous.
Okay, good. And in terms of calling up or finding an inspector and going through this organization, is there anything else they should be aware of or watch for?
Well, when they're looking for most people call a local chimney sweep, and if you have a relationship with a local chimney sweep, then that's good. If he's been servicing you for years or whatever, that's fine. But if you're looking for a new one, make sure that he's got some sort of training, some certification that, because you could be a chimney sweep if you wanted to. Just buy a chimney sweep brush and a ladder and you can go out and clean chimneys. There's no required training or certification by the state. So the industry itself has a lot of training, and the professional will take advantage of that and get, make sure he's well trained and he's well, up to date on all the codes and knows what to look for and knows how to inspect and clean a chimney. So the way that the consumer can tell that that's been done is whether or not the guy's certified. And there's different certifications that, and you can ask them about that. What certifications do you have? How do I know you're a real chimney sweep?
Okay, so there's more than one certification?
Oh, yeah. There's the Chimney Safety Institute of America, and they have different courses that you can do, and they can do an exam to make sure you pass it. And there's an outfit called Fire right here in Moorpark, close to here, where a man named Dale Febb has a very, very comprehensive course on chimney inspections, and I make all my guys do that course. It's called Fire, F-I-R-E. And that's a very, very comprehensive chimney inspection course. So if the chimney sweep has Fire by his name or under his company, then you know you're getting a professional.
Okay. Good. So a consumer would want, or a homeowner would want to have a professional come in and check their chimney.
Right.
Good. Now, I know you have written something that is broad for the industry, and that has to do with an ethical code for chimney contractors. Did I get that name right?
Yes, a Chimney Specialist Code of Ethics.
Okay. Number one, why did you even write it?
Because there's a lot of people in the industry who haven't done their due diligence and got themselves trained, and they're giving advice and they're performing work on chimneys which are dangerous. For example, after the Northridge earthquake, I came across many chimneys where the chimney contractor actually blocked off the furnace and hot water vents in the chimney so that he made a space for the pipe or the flue, and he sealed off the other pipe that carried the exhaust from the gas appliances, such as the furnace and the hot water heater. And that forced the carbon monoxide to go under the floorboards of the house. And when I'd get there, I could see right away the problem was, the whole family looked like they had the flu, and they were gaunt, and they were saying, oh, we've been sick since the weather turned cold. And I know right away that those carbon monoxide gases are coming into the house and making these people sick. And if it wasn't California, with, we don't have very good weather-tight houses here, that could have been much more serious in some of these cases. But as it was bad enough. And, I could go on with more examples, but if you look at it, the chimney is not something that you should, play around with. If you want to save money and get a cheap job done on your roof, well, you can get a, 15-year roof instead of a 50-year roof. But when it comes to your chimney, you need to really get a professional who knows what they're doing and is going to follow the code of ethics, know the codes, relate them to you, and give you the best. There's some options, but they all have to be safe.
Good. So might you summate some of the points that you've written about?
Well, some of the points are, first of all, study the code. Know what the code is. The second point is to know the history of the code. How did we come by the code? Why is it so important? What's the process of the code? So there's a little bit of study there too. And most importantly is to understand that these codes, they're building codes, they're laws. And they're really no different than a criminal code, except they're a building code. They're enforced differently, but they are laws. And they have to be obeyed. And many contractors feel that they're above the code, or they don't agree with the code, or they don't understand the code, so they ignore it. And they will tell the customer, the homeowner, oh, that's not important. Yes, a code violation, but it's not important. You don't have to worry about it. And it's not their job to adjudicate whether a code is important or unimportant. It is a code and it's a law, and they need to respect that.
Well, just to touch the obvious here, so if a contractor suggests that a point of code is irrelevant, would that be an out point all by itself that you might want to consider whether this is the right contractor for you?
Well, unfortunately, it happens all the time. And some of the code points, I think a property owner can readily go into agreement with the contractor and think that it's not important, but they don't understand the reason for the code. And usually those codes protect us when one or two or three things go wrong at the same time. Let's take one thing for an example. There's a code that the chimney must have a 2-inch space between the bricks and any wood structure. Now, that code is seldom enforced, and normally a chimney can operate for years and years and never test that. But if there's a chimney fire, and the temperatures can get up to 2,000 degrees inside that chimney during a chimney fire, and you don't have that 2-inch clearance to the wood, and the wood has been subjected to heat for years and has already been dried out, then you'll have a structure fire. And I've seen it happen many times.
Okay.
So to say that the 2-inch clearance isn't required or isn't necessary or is a silly point in the code is simply being uneducated in that area.
Okay. And by the way, would these points or this code be pertinent even to a gas fireplace?
Yes, there's really no distinction in the code between a gas burning fireplace and a wood burning fireplace. Manufacturers make gas burning fireplaces, and they are tested with the particular log sets in them, and those would have different requirements. But if you have a masonry built chimney or even a prefabricated chimney that's designed to build wood and you put a gas log set in them, all the same laws apply.
Okay. So then continuing with the ethical code, is there any other points you'd like to summate?
Well, when you get to you know, the work being done, there's a lot of new chimney technology out of there. One of the points I've made is that before you recommend or use a new technology, you have to try it out. My chimney at my house is referred to as the Frankenstein chimney because I've tried out many different techniques there, and a lot of them, most of them didn't work, and I use the ones that do work. So one of the codes is to, you know, make sure you know that this new technology you're going to recommend or use is workable. You know, test it out, do your research, find out if it's workable or unworkable.
So is this code directed primarily at contractors, or would it be of value to homeowners?
I wrote it for both.
Okay.
Somebody who wants to be a serious chimney specialist, it would help them along the line. It sort of gives them a guideline. And it also helps the property owner in choosing the specialist if they're familiar with the code and they hear somebody tell them, oh, well, you don't have to listen to this part of the code, then they'll know they're not dealing with a true professional.
Okay. Well, we're just about out of time. Now, I know you're making this code available for free to anyone who's interested. How can they get it?
They can download it off my website.
And what's the website?
BostonBrick.com.
Okay, good. So do you have any summating messages here before we wrap up the show?
Yeah, it's my favorite thing to talk about with chimneys is the carbon monoxide problem. As you may know, and your listeners may know, the state of California mandated that we all put carbon monoxide detectors in our homes wherever there's a fireplace or a gas appliance. And they did that for a reason. If you look at the statistics, a lot of people get injured or hurt or even killed by carbon monoxide every year. And fireplaces are a contributing factor to that. So I would say to the listeners, beware of the carbon monoxide problem. And the best way to do that is to have your chimney inspected regularly by a professional.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you very much, Dave.
Well, you're very welcome.
This is George ALGER signing off for this segment of Our Ventura TV. Until we see you again.